Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, there ain't no party like a Mario Party, because a Mario Party burns a hole in the palm of your hand. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I'm always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including an update on that whole Bayonetta 3 fiasco. And then on Thursday, we're making Nintendo games into spooky games. But Mark, in the meantime, how's it going?
It's going great. It has been barely over a week since you and I saw each other in person, and yet it feels like such a long time.
This is every time that you go out of town or I go out of town or whatever, we don't see each other for like one regularly scheduled recording session. I'm like, where's Mark? It's upsetting to my psyche. So back in the day, we used to do both episodes in one evening, right? A single recording session back to back. I'm glad we don't do that anymore, just because it was a long time.
It seemed like such a good idea at the time.
It seemed like such a great idea. We can knock both these out at once. It's a bad idea. But yeah, now since I am now chemically addicted to seeing you twice a week.
It really does mess with my brain chemistry.
So I hope
it's how I tell time.
It is. Yes, that's right. You can just like feel an absence of me in your midst, and then it must be Wednesday. Mark, here's something else that people could miss. My copy of Sonic Forces for the Nintendo Switch. Would you like to borrow it? Mark, we're getting like dangerously close to the release of Sonic Frontiers.
We really are.
And I don't know if that I'm worried that it's going to change like the shape of the Sonic Forces borrowing program. I don't know in what way.
And I think in the
You've been ringing this bell for a while.
I'm nervous, but I'm excited because initially I was like, what happens when Sonic Frontiers releases? But then I realized two things. One, the Sonic Forces borrowing program is perfect.
It's never not been perfect.
And we've weathered this storm, a similar storm, before when an imperfect copy got lost, so it could be replaced by a perfect copy.
Yes, I see. I don't know if that copy was imperfect.
I think it was
perfectly serving the will of the program and got lost.
No. You're right. I mean, in my telling of the story, probably what happened is the previous copy realized it was imperfect, bore a hole through the envelope, and like kind of sacrificed itself for the greater good of continuing the perfect program.
I think that's right. Well, and also then it let us know that just putting a loose Switch cartridge in an envelope turns out not a great idea.
So I think this is to say that I too am a little nervous about what happens when Sonic Frontiers is released, but I believe that it'll all work out.
Let Sonic take the wheel, basically, is what we're saying.
That's exactly
Did I explain the program? If you would like to borrow my copy of Sonic Forces for the Nintendo Switch, all you gotta do is email us at nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com and give us a mailing address. We can send you my copy of Sonic Forces for the Nintendo Switch. It may be a Sonic Forces box with a Untitled Goose Game cartridge inside. That's okay. The program's perfect. Don't worry about it. I send it to you, you play it, I pay for postage both ways so that you send it back to me. And you've borrowed my copy of Sonic Forces.
As we mentioned, the perfect borrowing program. Another thing you can do is you can leave us a 5-star review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere that you get your podcasts where you can review things or favorite it or give it a thumbs up. It means so much to us. It really helps people find the show. And also, Patrick and I really just love reading your reviews.
We take little screen grabs of them and then text them to each other.
It's true. And it's just delightful. So thank you to everyone who has left us a 5-star review. If you leave us a review on the US Apple Podcast Store, we can see it and we'll give you a shout out on the show. If you leave us a review anywhere else, we can't see it or we choose not to see it. And but we still want to give you a shout out. So please let us know. Hit us up on Twitter, send us a email, reach out any way that you can.
Let us know on Discord.
That's
you could
right.
join our Discord if you have not already. You should email us or send us a tweet or I guess leave a review.
Oh, wait.
Yeah,
I
sorry.
would be remiss.
Yes.
If I did not thank Brian from Houston for his 5-star review
This is right.
on the US Apple Podcast Store. And if you want me to interrupt Patrick to remember, so that way I can give you a shout out, then you can leave us a 5-star review. And this whole process can play itself over again.
And look, you all know how much that hurt Mark to interrupt me just now. It's really important. Thank you, Brian from Houston. We appreciated reading your review. Get in the Discord. Send us an email. Send us a tweet. We will let you in. You can have a fun time talking about Nintendo with other people who are talking about, get this, Nintendo. It's a fun, chill time. Everyone is nice. All right, Mark, let's get into what we've been playing this week.
So, like you mentioned, I've been traveling this past week, and I was staying at a rental house that had like a home theater set up with stadium seating and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, wow.
Hooked up a Switch to it and played Super Smash Brothers Ultimate on the big screen, and that was pretty cool. I've never experienced playing Super Smash Brothers Ultimate that way. I can't tell
Normally, you got to hold the Switch real close up to your face to get that experience.
Exactly. I can't tell if it made it more chaotic to have it that large or less chaotic.
So you were staying in a big house with a lot of people. Were
Yeah.
people playing Super Smash Brothers with you?
Yes. Yeah. We had like multiple Joy-Con going.
Nice.
It was a good time.
How many people did you get in at one time?
I think we had 6 Joy-Con.
Yeah.
So I think we had 6 going max. But the other thing while traveling is I was kind of looking for just a game I could play in the airport. And so I was dinking around on Mario Kart for a little bit. But then I realized I have Portal 2 on my Switch that I have not played ever.
Yeah.
And a few months back, I played Portal 1. No surprise. Thought it was amazing.
Yeah, it's like a perfect game.
But I'd kind of put off. I didn't immediately jump into Portal 2 because it was like, I don't know. It just felt like more Portal. And
in some ways it is.
in some ways it is, but it's also like like a good second draft where they're just like, oh, they lean more into the humor. Like Wheatley, the other
the
AI
Stephen
robot
Merchant character, yeah,
is like amazing. The writing is just incredibly funny. And the writing in Portal 1 was great. Portal 2 takes it to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
The puzzles are really fun. Like you could start with Portal 2
Totally.
and still, like get up to speed, but it does move a lot faster than Portal 1 does, where it doesn't hold your hand for as long. Like the puzzles get a little more.
It's got to start
complicated
introducing
faster.
you to different goos.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, I'm just having a blast. It's kind of in some ways, it's kind of crazy that it's never been like on a portable before. Maybe it was on like the like NVIDIA portable.
Portalable.
But basically it's like it feels made for it because you do like one puzzle or part of a puzzle and then you can just like, put it to sleep and go on and do something else.
Yeah, I mean there is definitely a like the recursive nature of like, and now you're just tackling the next room of like, portal puzzling that is very like pick up and put down friendly. Is it J.K. Simmons that his voice is
J.K. Simmons is in this.
Yeah, that's right.
As well.
And I think that they're the only 2 actors in the game.
Well, you still have
GLaDOS. Is still there, yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's right. I forgot.
That's like a funny interaction when GLaDOS wakes up.
Yeah.
Because you killed her at the end of the last game.
You sure did.
She's trying not to hold a grudge.
Yep, you threw all of her pieces into the fire.
Yep. So yeah, I'm having a blast with Portal 2. Patrick, you and I still have a date to play the co-op, which I'm really excited about.
The co-op is so good, Mark. It is truly its own like standalone experience. In my mind, there is a Portal trilogy. It's Portal, Portal 2, and Portal 2 co-op. And the Portal 2 co-op, the capstone of the trilogy, like does the thing of like pulling everything together and making it all feel like cohesive and wonderful and fun. So I'm very much looking forward to that. So stay tuned. Maybe we'll talk about it on the show. We definitely will. Mark, I've been playing a couple things. one is that I've been playing Marvel Snap on my phone.
What is Marvel Snap?
Marvel Snap is a Hearthstone-like collectible card game that you play with Marvel characters, and it's just on mobile. And it is a perfect bite-sized collectible card game because your deck is 12 cards. Games last 6 turns. Very occasionally they will last 7 turns. A turn takes 30 seconds. And there is no way to pay to get more cards.
Oh.
There are ways to pay to, you can spend money on this thing if you want to. But I have not spent a dime on it, and I've not at any point so far playing it for a week felt pressured to spend money on it. It rules. The game is so good and so like short and chaotic and unique. Every single game feels totally unique. So the way it's set up is you start by drawing 3 cards from your 12 card deck, and there are 6 turns is what you have to conquer as many locations as you can. There are 3 locations on the board, and they're all a mystery at the beginning. And once each turn, the locations starting on the left, moving to the right, are revealed. So at the beginning of the first turn, you see what that first location is, and they're all locations from the Marvel Universe. So there's Manhattan or Hell's Kitchen or name another location that's not in New York.
Like Wakanda?
I can't do it. Wakanda, yeah. Yes, exactly. And each one of those locations comes with another like special quality that like changes the makeup of the game. So it'll be something like all of the characters in both players' hands have +1 power, or on turn 5 you can only play cards at this location, and so turn 2 you reveal the second location, turn 3 you reveal the third location, and then that's it. You've got 3 more turns to just like play out for dominance over those locations. And when I say dominance, all the characters in your hand, all the cards are characters, and they all have a power like rating attached to them, and all you're doing is trying to get higher numbers than your opponent at any individual location.
Oh.
So it's very simple. Like you're not fighting, and every now and then there are cards that like Electra is a 1 cost, 1 power card that when you play her, you destroy one of your opponent's 1 cost characters at that same location. But like that's a rarity. They usually don't eliminate each other. They just sort of like stack up. And so it feels a lot less like Magic or like Hearthstone, and almost more like the game I keep going back to in my head is Monopoly Deal. You ever play Monopoly Deal?
Yeah.
Just like a simple, quick little card game. And like the fact that it's got these like 3 locations and they're all like randomized and chaotic means that every single game feels like a different game. Like it's not just like how your cards are dealt or what your opponent's deck is. It's also this like other kind of thing. And so like I don't think there are good ways to build decks and bad ways to build decks, but I think you can build a good deck out of any selection of like 20 cards, right? So it's really all about like figuring out the sort of strategy and like trying to anticipate what your opponent is going to do. And there aren't like, it's so rare now. And mind you, I've been playing a lot in the last week. But like, I don't see cards anymore that I haven't seen, right? Like I've seen them all. So it's just like, you can sort of anticipate what people are doing and what moves they're going to have available to them. I just think it's a wonderful game, and the art is astounding. All of the cards have variants that are like from sort of like famous comic book covers. There's this Jim Lee drawing of Cyclops that I have as like my avatar right now, which just rules. There are little 8-bit versions of all of them, and I don't know. It's just it's a very, very, very good game.
That sounds really cool. How do you get more cards like for your deck if you don't pay for them?
So you up your collector level by upgrading cards, and you upgrade cards using like the currencies that you earn in the game. Could you buy those currencies with real money? Yes, you could.
Oh, okay. So is that what like the upsell is?
Kinda,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Is having the assets to upgrade cards. But in a lot of ways, that's just upgrading the like aesthetics of the card. Like you can the first level you do a frame break on the card, so now like the Wolverine's claws are like poking out like past the edges of the card. And then in the second level up from there, it's like a 3D card, and then like it's animated a little bit, just like a little bit, something like waving in the background, right? And so like you get it's all of these like aesthetic little changes, and you can choose like which versions of the cards to level up, be it like the 8-bit version or like my Jim Lee Cyclops that I really want to level up. And yeah, so like that's most of the, I think all of the money that you could spend on it is just to like control which visuals you're upgrading.
So, sorry, how do you get new cards for your deck then?
Oh yeah, sorry. As you upgrade the cards, you get your collector level raises, and as you like go up on this like tree, every now and then there's like get a new card. So like and sometimes it's like you're just getting more upgrade points or whatever. So like it sort of just happens naturally as you're playing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That does sound really cool.
The game is just so good, Mark. Like I can't I've put like hours in there was one day this week where since you and I weren't recording, I just had like an evening to myself where I was like, I don't really have anything to do tonight, and I just played Marvel Snap for like 4 hours.
How did you hear about it? I hadn't heard about it until you talked about it in the Discord.
I don't know. I don't know.
It's
Marvel
just
one
Snap has always been in your life.
Ether,
Yeah.
That's right. I do not remember a time before Marvel Snap.
Well, and maybe this is specifically to Sarah if you're listening.
No, Sarah, don't listen.
Well, I was
no,
just
go ahead. What?
no. I mean, I was just gonna say, because you famously, to me, anyways,
Yes.
turned away from Magic the Gathering.
That's right.
Worried that you would get
I'll
too
tell
deep.
the story a little
Okay,
bit. Yeah.
yeah.
When I was in middle school, I did play Magic the Gathering super hard. It was what I did with all of my friends. It was what I went to bed thinking about. It's what I woke up in the morning thinking about. Absolutely loved Magic the Gathering. Was obsessed, spent a ton of money on it when I was 12, right? Until the one summer that I went on vacation with my friends, with my family, and my friends went to Gen Con and sold their Magic cards. And then when I came back, my friend Ryan was like, we're sleeping over at my mom's house. Don't bring your Magic cards. Don't bring your deck. We sold our Magic cards. And I was like, yeah, right. Sure. I'll see you guys there. And naturally I brought my cards, and they didn't have them anymore because they actually did sell them. I hung out with those guys for another like 6 months, and we tried to figure out other things that we could do together. We had nothing in common. We got into Warhammer 40,000. Like, it was bad. It was a bad scene, Mark.
Well, previously when I had, like we'd been talking about it and be like, oh, I'd play Magic again. And you were like, no, I can't do it. I can't get in.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't get into it. If you are getting in,
this is the same.
If you get in too deep
yeah.
with Marvel Snap, basically what I was reaching out to Sarah for,
right,
is.
Do you need to stage an intervention?
Not yet. That's what I'm saying.
I'm open to it.
I need Sarah to be alert for the warning signs. Letting us know. Keep me in the loop, Sarah. But this does actually sound incredibly cool.
I mean, so there's no way to play like one-on-one with like your friends at the moment.
But
it's
it
just
is
like
other
random
people.
match. Yes.
Oh, okay.
And it is occasionally bots too, I'm
right.
sure. But there are also definitely times where you're like, no, there's no way the Marvel thing generated someone with the name Man of Steel, right?
Right.
Yeah, you're definitely playing against real people and occasionally against bots. And the bots are obviously easier, but the real people are good. The real people understand the strategy in the same way that I think I do. So, yeah, no, it's great and super fun, and they are going to introduce like one-on-one play with your friends, either locally or remotely, in coming updates. So I'm very excited about it. Mark, if you get into it, you got to let me know. It's not on a Nintendo platform, so I'm so sorry to spend so much time talking about it, but it really just is a remarkable little game.
It sounds really cool.
And you can play it for free right now. So
yeah.
And then I've been playing Tunic as well, Mark.
How is that going? Because it looks So cute. It looks so fun.
It's so super cute. I really don't know if I would call it fun.
Okay.
Because it is challenging as all get out. The combat is frequently unforgiving. And your little fox only has so much health. So like he takes a couple hits and he's just like down for the count. And the game is designed that way. Like you're supposed to die a bunch. And you're supposed to like learn through, experimentation, all that kind of stuff, and learn through getting more pages of this instruction booklet. The instruction booklet is the best part of this game. And so you collect these pages in game, and they look like a classic NES, game manual, but also have some like handwritten notes in it. And it's the manual is sort of half and half in like a made up language and English, right?
Oh.
So like. And then you kind of like piece together other things it's trying to tell you through like sometimes it's a map or like a list of like the items, and you can see that it's like showing this is a bonus to your attack, to your defense or whatever. And so like getting those pages, you're like, oh, I haven't been playing the game right. Like there are fundamental mechanics that like are just slightly unintuitive that you have to learn from seeing them in the book. But I do so like, and that's all super fun. The discovery of that is satisfying every time. It's the most exciting thing, finding a page of the book, because you're like, okay, now I've got this like real world kind of puzzle of like trying to decipher what this image is telling me about how I can play this game differently. And that's just so rewarding, right? Like I can't think of another game that has given me that kind of satisfaction, that then leads immediately to like tangible improvement of my gameplay experience, right? But I do think that the game overall has a problem with like how you're able to like discover stuff in the world itself. Like I don't think it's quite as clear as other games of its type in just like leading you to various locations.
Oh,
right?
that's interesting.
They're pretty early on in the game. I was like sort of stuck, and I was like, I don't know where to go. I feel like I've scoured every inch of this map.
Ooh, I hate that feeling.
And I'm like, and this is the kind of game that like if you look it up, like it's the secrets are all there. And I was like, I ran around for probably like half an hour being like, I legit don't know what to do. And then it was like, then, go this way and head east. And I was like, I've been east. Like there's nothing for me to do over here. And then I like pulled up a video and watched the walkthrough. And sure enough, it was just like going through a door that like didn't read to me as a door.
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
I
just
do.
that like it wasn't telegraphing to me enough this thing that like is an obvious part of the game that and I'm blaming the game for this. Maybe I should blame me, but like, I found that to be a little bit frustrating. But I'm really, really enjoying it. I am playing it on PS5 and not on Switch, because I heard it had some performance issues, and with the multiple times that I'm dying, I don't really want to live through a long Switch loading screen. For that, which I understand is also a problem. It's lightning fast on the PlayStation 5. But so in just for full transparency, I'm talking about two games that I did not play on Nintendo platforms.
Well, I appreciate the honesty.
Yes. But yeah, it's great. I'm really liking it.
So I guess two kind of things to call out here. One, neither of us are talking about Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope,
right?
Or Persona 5 Royal,
which has been downloaded onto my Switch.
Me as well. Like I am ready to start Persona 5 Royal, and that we talked about this last week, and that is the route that I'm going to go.
Yes.
There's a website that I'm blanking on the name right now, but basically they track like when video games have gone on sale.
Yes.
And the original Mario plus Rabbids, it was basically by January was half off. Like you could find it for half off.
Wow.
And so, and it released a little bit earlier in the year. It released in like September of 27 or October, I can't remember, of 2017. So I guess maybe not that much earlier, maybe like a month earlier than this one is releasing. But it was just really hard for me, especially having those two games to choose from. I kind of decided that, yeah, I'm just going to wait on I'm super excited for it. It looks great. The reviews have been awesome, but it was hard for me to justify spending $120 knowing that this game that I'm not going to get to for weeks is going to be half off in, like 12 weeks.
Right. Well, and I mean, there's also just like other stuff that I want to play right now too. I still got to pick up Them's Fightin' Herds, which is $20, and I just got Tunic on PlayStation for $30. So like, let's meter this all out, right? Like we can get back to Mario plus Rabbids later. One last thing that I've been messing around with, which isn't technically a game, Mark, I did a little bit of you do like spring cleaning and maybe like fall nesting, right? That I was like, some of my things aren't as organized as they could be. I was recently gifted a Game Boy and a library of Game Boy games from my friend Ethan. 18 total Game Boy games, and they all have like their little clamshell cases. But otherwise, the Game Boy and the games and the accessories were just in a green plastic grocery bag that has been living in like the little wooden crate next to my couch, which an unacceptable storage solution, right? Like that's no good. And so I got to work fashioning a shoebox with little like dividers and stuff in it, so that there are different compartments for the Game Boy itself, for the Game Boy games, and I like sort of built a little shelf up on it so that you could like flip through it like it's like a library card catalog. And I kind of went to town with like duct tape on it, so it's got like a DIY kind of look to it. And I'm gonna do some like decorative things on the top of it too. And when that's all done, then I'll post pictures in the Discord. But so I just wanted like a place to put the Game Boy and Game Boy games in a way that's like appropriately shrine-like, but also appropriately like put away. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And in the same go, I was like, I've got too many of these Nintendo Switch Online controllers, right? I've got the Nintendo 64 one, the Sega Genesis, and 2 NES ones. And then also, because I was like, you can't not also have the Super Nintendo. I went ahead and ordered that too. But I was like, hey, these are all just loose controllers, right? Loose controllers that barely get any use unless I am playing one of those games at the moment. So I bought a briefcase that is like a hardback briefcase that's normally used for camera equipment, and it's got all this like foam in it that you can like pull out and like shape. So I'm gonna like cut that into the shapes of the controllers, so I can just have this nice handy briefcase, open up, show all the controllers, take them out when I need them. Otherwise they're just put away and safe.
That sounds incredible. I feel like you have to get a pair of handcuffs so you can handcuff that briefcase to you whenever you're carrying
whenever I travel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that sounds so awesome. Yeah, that sounds incredible. Have you gotten an update on your Analog Pocket?
So
pre-order?
I got the email, as everyone did, that people in waves 2 and 3, they plan to ship them all before the end of the year, which was not the case before. But I have not gotten an update email saying when specifically I would get mine. I did get the email from them saying you can pre-order the things so you can play, Neo Geo Pocket games on it. And I was like, no, let's fulfill this order first, okay, and then try to convince me to buy something else.
But Ethan giving you all those like Game Boy games and stuff made me wonder how that was coming along.
Yeah, and I can tell you that I have no update on that.
Fair enough.
Someday I will. Mark, that's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
So Alan Wake Remastered surprise dropped last Thursday for Switch. It was released on other platforms in 2021, but released on Switch last week. It's $30, but is currently, as of this recording, 20% off for launch. Did you ever play Alan Wake? I've never played it.
Never.
But it's supposed to be like a really interesting kind of like survival horror or horror game. From what I've seen from the Switch version, it's a rougher port. So it seems like one of those that if you can play it on other platforms, probably make that choice. Hopefully there will be like a patch in the future for this version that improves things. But I am interested in someday, somehow playing Alan Wake but I just don't know that it's going to be this release.
Does it seem like we are in a more pronounced place of that specific phenomenon now than we were just a couple of years ago? That like you do have the ability to play a lot of current or current-ish games on Switch, but it is just like not advisable.
Yeah, or it at least feels like there have been quite a few recently.
Yeah.
That has been the case. The Switch is still selling very well, like very successful, and Nintendo is able to squeeze a lot of blood out of that stone, but it does feel like we're beginning to run up against technical limitations.
Yeah, it's beginning to matter more. Like Doom, right? Because you played Doom 2016, what year did Doom come out?
Oh, I think it is Doom 2016, but it was released on Switch in 2017.
Right.
But I did play that.
You played it on Switch, and it didn't to you feel like...
No, I had a blast.
Yeah. And I was about to say I played L.A. Noire on it, but L.A. Noire was an older game too, so like maybe that doesn't matter. But yeah, I feel like you're hearing it more even in something like Tunic, that like the Switch is just not like handling the third-party stuff the way it used to, or at least our standards for it have grown a little beyond what it's capable of.
I mean, it is crazy to think that when the Switch was released, like the PlayStation 4 had already been out for a while.
Yeah.
And now we're a couple of years into the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series era. And the Switch is still running the same old hardware, and it's not that games can't look good. It's that, like you're saying, a lot of these third-party ports, I think, are really, it's this weird place where third parties are actively supporting Nintendo in a way that they have not for a very long time. But it's feeling like time for the hardware to help them out a little bit.
I think so. Well, and especially when it's not just a matter of looking. It's like the whole experience of running more smoothly. There's the whole the loading stuff that I mentioned. That's such a big part of the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series consoles that like. They're like, we don't do load times anymore. You don't have to wait. And Switch is like, no, we'll wait.
Right. I mean, I think it's telling that, you had an opportunity to play Tunic on any platform, and you chose, instead of like having it be accessible in a portable form,
right?
You're like, no, performance-wise, I would rather, play it on PlayStation 5. And it feels to me anyways that we have hit this point, like it's almost like a wall. Like it just happened really quickly.
Yeah.
Where, sure, like there were games like... Outer Worlds that I played, and that started out as a rough port. I don't think it's amazing now, but they definitely put in the work to improve it. But for a lot of them, like Doom Eternal, they were running on Switch, and but it really feels like all of the sudden is just like performance has become an issue in a way that it wasn't before.
Yeah, I also wonder if for me it comes down to just individual circumstance. Like one of the things that I like the Switch for is like if Sarah's on the TV, I can just like take the Switch out and play it. But since she also spends a lot of time playing the Switch, that like the dynamic is a little bit reversed if I have a game on PlayStation where I'm like, if she's playing Tetris, then I can be like, oh hey, can you go into handheld mode so I can play Tunic?
Yeah,
you wouldn't be able to do that the other way,
totally,
unless we had two Switches, which would also be a solution.
Now, releases for this week.
Oh, yes.
On Friday, October 28th, Bayonetta 3 is released for Switch. And also on Friday, Resident Evil Village Cloud is released on the Switch eShop.
Very interesting. I know we're going to talk about both of those games later in the news section, so I won't dwell on it here. But wild that Resident Evil Village is coming out on Switch.
Yeah.
In one form or another.
And also on Saturday, October 29th, a game called Halloween Shooter is released for Switch.
Which, like, I guess, why drop that on Saturday the 29th?
I don't know. This one was highlighted, and I assumed you highlighted it.
It was me. I highlighted it.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
I highlighted just because I just wanted to stew in for a second, like Halloween Shooter.
Uh-huh.
Releasing on the 29th. no one's going to play that. First of all, no one's going to play this game. No one's going to play this game on November 1st, right?
Right.
The shelf life is 2 days.
But what did 2 days?
What
will
did
be?
2 days?
Do you know what
Yes.
I don't know anything about this game.
No one does.
But what I think it is it's like one of those shooting games that you would see at county fairs with like ducks that are
I
going
like that.
across.
And it's just like a little wooden ghost.
Oh, I was gonna say DVD copies of John Carpenter's Halloween, just on like
That's
track going back and
that's
forth.
way better than what I was going to say. All right, Mark. Those are the new releases. Let's close this out. Which brings us to a regular segment on our show. It is time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So for the duration of one performance, 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, today I have a quiz for you to close out our October quiz time.
Oh, crazy that this will be the last one.
This will be the last one because the next one will happen in November. So the quiz is from BuzzFeed. Build a last-minute Halloween costume and we'll guess your favorite Halloween activity.
Okay.
Which feels less like a quiz and right? Because a quiz is supposed to like determine something about you. This is that they're going to guess. It's going to inform their guess about your favorite Halloween activity. Okay. The first prompt is, oh no, it's October 30th and you've completely forgotten your Halloween costume. Quick, where are you looking first for something to wear? Your options are your closet, your old dress-up trunk, your parents' closet, Target, the Halloween store, or CVS.
Oh, I'm going to Target.
Mark's going to Target. Let's start with a theme. What are you basing your costume on? A TV show, a classic Halloween costumes, and that's what the option says, a classic Halloween costumes, an animal, something scary, food, or a celebrity.
What were the first couple options?
A TV show, a classic Halloween costumes, an animal.
I'll say
scary.
a TV show.
A TV show, great. What accessories will you be wearing? Hair extensions, a scary mask, a headband, cat ears, a witch's hat, or nothing, thanks.
Not a wig, but hair extensions?
Yeah, that's right.
I'll do hair extensions.
All right, hair extensions it is. I'm going to try to guess what you're dressing up as we go. Now pick some clothes. A plaid skirt, a lacy black dress, a bright dress, leather pants, jeans, or a leather miniskirt. I didn't screen any of this, by the way.
Well, I'm going to wear jeans, I think.
If I know one thing about you, I know that that is true. Pick a jacket. Jacket number 1, a gray hoodie. Should I read the rest?
Well, just for kicks.
Okay. A black cape, a yellow blazer, a faux fur coat, a leather jacket, no jacket, thanks.
Oh, yeah. A hoodie. Yep.
Pick some shoes. Oh, pick some shoes to top off the look. Mark,
okay.
You get to look at shoes here. So we've got some like red heels. We've got some red Converse. Some like low-rise boots with a heel. More heels, more heels.
I'll wear the Converse.
Okay. Is this a solo or partner look?
This is, well, you and I are going to a Halloween party together, so it's a
well, let me
partner
read the
look.
options.
Okay, yeah.
I'm dressing up on my own. Me and my SO are dressing up together. Me and my BFF are dressing up together. I'm dressing up with a whole group.
Okay, me and my BFF are dressing up together.
What prop will you carry around with you? Okay, and now we got to go here. You get to see the props. Okay, so there's like a black fuzzy purse.
Uh-huh.
There's a bunch of shopping bags. I assume they're the prop. There's the like pumpkin trick-or-treat bucket. There's a little gold purse. There's a pumpkin and a like old style witch broom and like a water pistol.
We're going to carry or at least I'm going to carry plastic like jack-o'-lantern bucket.
Okay, are you going as like the Stranger Things kids? Okay, you got going to a haunted house. The thing you love most about Halloween is going to haunted houses. You love getting scared in a controlled environment, and nothing can beat the excited chill you get when you wait in line to buy your tickets at night.
The excited chill you get when waiting to buy your tickets. Yeah, everybody's favorite Halloween activity. I am going to say that it was a good guess, but I'm sorry, BuzzFeed quiz. That is not, in fact, my favorite Halloween activity. I do not like going to... I don't like being startled.
Yeah, well, and especially like being startled in a group where like you could like people are laughing at you when you're scared, right? That's not fun. All right, we were accompanied today by the by the KCL Modern Music Society. So from one society to another, thank you so much for accompanying us, Mark. Let's get into the news.
So last week we talked about a Twitter thread by former Bayonetta voice actor Helena Taylor, where she posted a video to Twitter saying she didn't return for the third game because Platinum only offered her 4K like total for her work, and she urged fans to boycott the game. However, since then, further reporting, primarily by Jason Schreier of Bloomberg, has revealed that Taylor lied about everything. According to Schreier's reporting, Platinum offered Taylor between $3,000 and $4,000 per session, with at least 5 sessions planned. And in response, Taylor asked Platinum for a 6-figure sum plus residuals. Platinum declined her offer, and at this point started looking for a new voice actor for Bayonetta. Later, Platinum offered Taylor a cameo in the game that would pay her like a flat fee for 1 session.
Which is presumably what she was referring to in her lie by omission.
Yeah, well, but even
video, yeah.
And I don't even know if it was a lie by omission. It like
just a straight up lie.
Yeah, just like a straight up lie. And then on Monday, so yesterday, Taylor posted a new Twitter thread where she denied lying, but also confirmed many, if not all, details of Schreier's reporting indirectly.
Right. So some of the things that she continues to deny are that the specific pay structure of 4 to 5 sessions. She does say that she was originally offered 10, which then came up to $15,000 to do the whole thing. And she addresses the like $250,000 ask as an outright lie as well. But to your point,
also
she lied in the first place.
And also, at least Bloomberg's reporting just said 6 figures. It never said a specific number. So you know, like,
so where did that number come from?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah. And you know, at the time that we talked about this last week, we first of all, we talked about it on Saturday, so it was still very fresh. But I think even at that time, we were like, there's a mountain of things we don't know about this, you know, including like, well, basically everything. And I know one of the things that I had in the doc from last week was like, we don't know if that offer was real. And that was me being a little bit editorial, and you didn't read it on the show, and I was like, that's fine, that's fair. That's me taking a stab at like, you can't trust anyone. But I think in this case, we should not have even trusted her as much as we did.
No, I completely agree. I feel like we took what she said at face value, like, and we assumed that she was operating in good faith.
Yeah.
And knowing what we know now, it does not seem to be the case at all.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And I do believe that we will never truly understand the ins and outs of this. And you know, it sucks how much this like clouds the very real issue of there not being any like standards or enough organization of voice actors. Although, as you mentioned in our notes here, Bayonetta was a union performer game, so there was a union at play here. But yeah, it just sucks that clouds this episode. Clouds that issue for anyone else trying to get equitable pay in games or fight for voice actor you know, like rights or residuals or whatever.
Yeah, it's I will say I am glad in some way that this got broken, because if we had recorded last week's news episode on Saturday, which, like you said, is why we only, you know, I think
atypical for us. We normally Monday night for Tuesday morning.
But because I was traveling, we recorded early, and so, like you said, we knew we didn't have all the information, but we had no way of knowing exactly how it was going to shake out.
Yeah, we sort of oversold the information we had while saying, well, we can't trust this information. Like sort of
Right.
both at the same time.
Yeah, but I just but I am selfishly glad that we kind of talked about it over 2 episodes, because can you imagine trying to summarize this entire ordeal in one
No, absolutely not.
news story? So in that way, a blessing. But
it was interesting though, because after we recorded, you and I just had a conversation about like, there's so much about that we don't know, and I said something to the effect of like, well, if Taylor ends up being a milkshake duck by next week, then we can address it at that point, and like that's totally what happened.
100% what happened.
Do you know the origin of milkshake duck? I don't really remember like how that phrase where it came from.
I think it's from a person on Twitter named Pixelated Boat, and it's like one of those things where it's like, oh, look at that like cute milkshake duck,
right?
And then 5 minutes later, we regret to inform you the milkshake duck is a racist.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
yeah, that's it, and that's sort of, and there was all sorts of spending just a little bit more time with Taylor's Twitter account, discovering that she holds some sort of like unsavory political views, and seems to not have a lot of patience for trans people, which is awful.
Yeah.
So it's a total milkshake duck situation here.
Yeah, it's it's one of those things that like now that we've talked about it, we had to do this like
right.
follow up, but in hindsight, or if we had known, the whole thing is just so like
the whole thing
messy.
Yeah, the whole thing just sucks. And like it was so weird to see because during the week between when we first talked about this and now, whenever Nintendo posted a trailer for Bayonetta stuff or any Bayonetta information, all of the replies, all the comments were just like flaming them for like not paying her enough. And then I saw they posted something today. Nintendo posted something today just about the game, and it's all excitement about Bayonetta 3, which just kind of goes to the like, is the internet even real? Like, what is any of it? It's all just so bizarre and so like fickle, and I wonder if any of it affected anyone's buying decisions about anything.
It also, I mean, just for me personally, was such a like instructive lesson on how to consume, because I liked information and that's on the internet that's happening in real time, because I think a lot of people had really like strong reactions and were really in support of Taylor in the beginning, and we talked about last week how it's like, oh, this is just another example of a big business,
right?
Like screwing over the little guy. And I think that's a narrative that
is usually right.
And so it was very easy for myself to fall into that, into the knee-jerk reaction of like, oh man, Platinum really messed up this time, like that sort of thing. And then just a couple of days later, you didn't get the response immediately, and so that allowed that narrative to be out there for a little bit. Like huge websites were covering
everyone.
Like,
every game's website,
and even The Verge, so like a technology website, and Vulture, which is, they generally don't cover like video games that closely, but it was making headlines a lot of places. And then this follow-up, you do not see the same sort of like follow-up
places.
And so I think I don't know, the whole thing was just like, I like to think of myself as being like media savvy and knowing how to take in information and like how to
you
respond to
media
it.
literate.
And this is just a great example of somebody kind of using that to their advantage.
I have another example of like this exact thing happening this last week. Sarah and I were talking about something Cartoon Network, and she was like, "Oh, and they just got shut down." And I was like, "No, when?" Because stuff changes so fast. And she was like, "Oh, like earlier this week." And I was like, "Okay, but like check it. That turns out it wasn't real. The person reporting on Cartoon Network, as you know it, is dead." Was the headline, was like some analysis on some of the layoffs that were happening at Cartoon Network and through WB. And like further reporting on the subject of like, no, we're not dead. Like we're not, like some of the things that we were making, we're not making anymore. But like Cartoon Network is still here. That part of it didn't get to Sarah, right? And also media literate, very internet savvy. It is just the problem of inflammatory misinformation being easier to digest than non-inflammatory truth.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. What did we learn?
Just a like kind of a crappy situation all the way around. Yeah, I don't really know what to do with that other than that.
Bayonetta out on Friday.
Last week, the NPD Group released its monthly report on video game sales in the United States. In September, the PlayStation 5 was the best-selling console by units and revenue, with Switch in second place by units and the Xbox Series consoles in second place by revenue.
Very good.
Some other highlights: Splatoon 3 was the fourth best-selling game of the month, behind FIFA 23, Madden 23, and NBA 2K23.
Man, sports games are just juggernauts.
But as always, a couple of caveats here. So this doesn't include digital sales for Splatoon 3 because Nintendo doesn't report those to NPD Group, but the other publishers listed there do. So EA and 2K. And then by revenue, this list is not by units, it's by revenue, and Splatoon 3 is at least $10 less than those other games starting price.
Yeah.
Because Splatoon 3 is $60, the other games start at $70, plus they have like gold editions and various collector's editions that are much more expensive. Some other things of note: Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Cowabunga Collection was number 6 on the charts.
I contributed to that.
And Mario Kart 8 holding strong at number 10.
Which, again, not digital.
Right. No digital included. But the NPD listing is, like, it's interesting, but it's just one data point, and it's really hard to draw any meaningful conclusions from it because it's ranked by revenue, which is kind of the point. Like, 10 years ago, NPD Group used to release a monthly chart that had unit sales with it, but the companies who like contribute to NPD, they for obvious reasons didn't love that information being made public.
Right.
So the NPD Group changed to doing everything by revenue, which similar to how Apple used to report units sold for iPhones, now they just report like the revenue generated by it.
Right.
And so it just makes for like a weird picture, a public-facing picture, because, for instance, the Cowabunga Collection was $40 and ranked number 6, but the 5th best-selling game of the month, so just above it, was The Last of Us Part 1 for PS5, which cost $70.
Yeah,
so
famously $70.
So by units, the Cowabunga Collection had to have sold significantly more than The Last of Us Part 2.
Because you need to sell almost 2 to get to 1 Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah, so what does it mean? Like, nothing. It's still a relevant chart, but it's just something to keep in mind
when
we're talking about this. Like, it just paints a very specific picture about sales metrics, but not the entire picture.
Right.
I guess now I'm just a little, like, gun-shy after the Bayonetta.
We got to put everything into every possible context.
Right, exactly.
But, like, and obviously none of these are measures of like actual success for the games, as like we're just talking about gross revenue, and it's like, okay, well, what was actually more expensive to develop, The Last of Us Part 1 or the Cowabunga Collection,
Right.
So, and that is like truly unobtainable data. So it's look, NPD's still fun. I still think it's fun. I still want to talk about it.
This is totally tangentially related, but I last week when I was like ordering my Persona 5 Royal digitally, on the eShop, I saw that
Ordering. That's such a that's such an
Buying.
interesting way to express that. Like, you're like going on Grubhub or something.
I saw that Disney Dreamlight Valley was #1 on the eShop last week, and not just digital only sales, like of the entire eShop. And right now it's #3, which
Is there a big groundswell for Disney Dreamlight Valley?
I am just constantly reminded, and I feel like this is a good reminder, is that my video game focus is so narrow. But there are cajillions of people playing video games.
You're not even playing Marvel Snap.
I'm not even playing Marvel Snap. There are cajillions of people playing video games that like are not even on my radar.
Yes.
Yeah, that we don't talk about at all on this show.
I mean, I think you and I encountered the word Roblox in a news story not that long ago, and we were like, what is this a typo? What is this? But yeah, I mean, great point. Obviously Disney Dreamlight Valley is something that is like just a little, it's close to what the kind of game you and I want.
It is so close. And I mean, we
were talking about cozy games.
We saw a trailer where an avatar took a selfie with Ursula, and both of us were like, do we need this game? Because it seems like Animal Crossing plus Disney.
Right. I saw they just added Scar content.
I saw that too. A major update. Maybe that's what pushed it to the top of the eShop charts.
I think there's a very real possibility that before the end of the year, you and I are playing Disney Dreamlight Valley and Marvel Snap, and that's it.
When I saw that it was #1 on the eShop, I like went in and I was like, okay, it's only $30.
Yeah.
Then it's like, oh, it's only like $60 for the Ultra Deluxe edition that gives me
I think
like
it's even less, isn't it?
Oh,
like
it might be less, but it's like there's like 3 editions in there, and one of them gives you enough gem or whatever currency is in the game to unlock the season passes or whatever they call season passes.
Yeah.
They have a name for it for like 3 years or something. And I was like, maybe I should just do that.
Maybe I'm all in. Maybe this is my personality now.
I've spent more on worse games.
Totally.
Guaranteed.
Let me ask you this. Is it just like Disney animated stuff, or is Pixar in there too?
I do not know for sure, but
Okay.
I would be shocked if it doesn't include Pixar stuff.
Is there? Do you think that there is like a character or like a location from one of those movies that would be enough to make you go, well, that's now I don't have a choice?
I think if
Ursula might have been it.
I think if my avatar could give Sully from Monsters Inc. a hug, that could be pretty good.
That's game over for you. I think if I can become the llama from Emperor's New Groove.
Oh, that would be so good. That'd be so good.
Or if I could find Kronk. If I can find Kronk in there.
Get a selfie with Kronk.
Oh, my God.
Nintendo continues to amuse. I don't really know what other word to use for it. Confound with its strategy for adding new games to their Nintendo Switch Online services. After getting no new Nintendo 64 games in September and releasing Pilot Wing 64 just a couple of weeks ago in the middle of October, we're getting 2 new games for the Nintendo 64 on November 2nd, Mario Party 1 and Mario Party 2. And so at this point,
at the same time,
we're good for 2022. These are all the games that they announced, although all the games they announced coming in 2022. There are a few we know that are coming in 2023.
But GoldenEye was not dated.
GoldenEye was not dated, so it is possible that GoldenEye is like a December game,
right?
Or the December game, or it's coming in 2023, or I guess 2024. They really didn't promise anything.
They did not promise a single thing. Other than they didn't date it, and they talked about those 2 years. So yeah, I guess you're right. It is possible that it falls outside the range of those 2 years. This is all very strange. Here's an individual data point that I find strange. We still also have Mario Party 3 on the horizon.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
So they made a specific choice to release Mario Party 1 and 2 at the same day, but not 3.
They know it's a Black Friday game changer.
It's all so perplexing. I don't understand the strategy.
I don't either. And we never, ever will, except maybe when like Bill Trinan retires he writes a book and he's doing this like same book tour that Reggie Fils-Aimé did. Yeah. And so hopefully somebody will ask him then.
See, I feel like Bill is less of, I can't call him by his first name. I think Bill Trinan is a less aggressive salesman than Reggie Fils-Aimé.
No, you're right.
He'll have a tougher time of it.
You're right.
But I bet Bill Trinan. I'm using first and last name here. I bet he could write a good book.
I think he could
an
too.
interesting book.
And maybe because he's, like not as hard of a seller as Reggie Fils-Aimé, he'd slum it and come on our show. Resident Evil Village Cloud releases this Friday, and Resident Evil fans who are interested in cloud versions anyways have a lot coming their way in the next few weeks. Capcom has announced that Resident Evil 2 Cloud will launch November 11th, with Resident Evil 3 Cloud 1 week later on November 18th. And then in December, Resident Evil Village gets the Winter's Expansion DLC on December 2nd. And then Resident Evil 7 closes out the month with a release on December 16th.
This is a classic release strategy. Order 2, 3, no, 8, 2, 3, 8 again, and then 7.
Yep.
That's a perfect release order.
It's my preferred order to play the Resident Evil games, of course.
That's also how I watch the Star Wars movies. Hold on, let's break that down for a second. So 7, 8, no, start with 8. So start with Last Jedi. Then go to Force Awakens. Then Curveball, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, and then you're going back to... No, I messed it all up.
No, you're right.
No, because then you do the Force Awakens. You didn't do the Force Awakens in the first place.
Oh, you're right, because you start with 8. So Last Jedi. And then you do Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, then Force Awakens, then The Last Jedi again.
No, I messed that up too. The point is, it's so counterintuitive, we can't even make this joke. What?
No, I'm determined to get this.
All right, okay.
So focus.
So you're starting with The Last Jedi.
You're starting with The Last Jedi.
Then you're going Attack of the Clones, and then Revenge of the Sith, and then you're going back to The Last Jedi, and then you are finishing with The Force Awakens.
So we did have it right that second time.
No, I don't think so. I think we had those last two flipped.
Well, we'll never know.
We'll never know. What's going on here? First of all, why not? Look, Nintendo is demonstrating you can drop 2 games in the same series on the same day. Why are they putting these like a week apart?
Yeah, I really don't know. Baffling. I did not play the Resident Evil 3 remake. But it's another one where it's just like, I just don't know if the cloud version is the way I would want to do it. If I could rent the cloud version, maybe, but I don't want to pay for a cloud version.
No, and I definitely don't want to pay full price for a cloud version. I say recently, it was months ago now, bought Resident Evil 3, the remake, for like $12 or something like that on the PlayStation Store. So I will at some point play it there. We should play it together, and then we both will have experience.
Yeah.
I like Nemesis a lot. But yeah, I mean, why would you play the cloud version?
I guess if the Switch
yeah.
is your only console, same thing with like Alan Wake Remastered, right?
Right.
And when I played a little bit of Control, the cloud version, the demo, it worked fine. It's just the not knowing that I could lose access to it at any time.
Yeah, it's a real bummer. And also just like knowing that you have to be tethered to the internet too. Like you couldn't have played it while you were traveling and anything like that. Which I know is like an outlier scenario. Neither of us really travel all that much, but like, when you want to play the game, you want to play the game.
I kind of feel like I should just try it once though.
Yeah.
Just to have like experienced it and know what like playing a game on a cloud version is like.
Let's find a cheap cloud version of a game.
Yeah, do those ever go on sale?
I don't.
It doesn't feel like it.
They so should.
Like those Kingdom Hearts games?
No, it's still super expensive. Stupid expensive.
Yeah.
Because I played the Kingdom Hearts demo in the cloud version, had a kind of a tough time with it because it's sort of action based in its combat. You played the Control demo and ran fine, you said.
Yeah, I didn't have any issues.
But neither of us have spent like real time with one of these things. Maybe you're right. Maybe we should find a nice like low price point cloud game and see what the experience of actually getting through it is.
Finally, those of you hoping that the new animated Super Mario Brothers movie would be a hard R-rated violence fest, you're going to have to wait for the rumored Donkey Kong spinoff because...
NC-17, I've heard.
Yeah, because the MPAA has rated the Super Mario Brothers movie PG here in the United States for action and mild violence.
That makes sense to me.
No rude humor. This is an important distinction because that is a
no farts.
Presumably, yeah, not rated for PG for rude humor.
What else does rude humor mean? Farts.
I think that
Boogers. That might be it.
That might be
farts
it.
and boogers.
Yeah, I guess since it's rude, maybe it's calling somebody mean names.
Yeah, it could be. Calling Bowser a big dummy. Yeah, they're not going to do that in this movie.
Also, the movie was originally announced to release in December 2022 in North America, but later delayed to next year to align with the release like in Japan and more worldwide. At the time of the delay, I remember saying that, maybe it's because like production needed more time, and that is a very frequent narrative for animated movies. But the fact that it's been rated would indicate that it is basically finished. And so maybe they really
true.
Because unlike games where they just send like a reel of aspects of the game that they want to make the rating board aware of, and then they base their rating on that, the entire movies are screened for like the ratings board, which is just made up of like, there's a documentary called I'm blanking on it, but basically it's all about, because the ratings board for the MPAA is like super secretive, like who's on it, how they make their decisions, like all that kind of stuff.
Is this the documentary that reveals that one of them is a dog with a like talking board where it just like pushes the button?
Hey, yeah,
PG,
it's a book. Yeah, exactly. Hey, there's no rule in the book that says that a dog can't be on the
movies.
But basically, yeah, they screen the finished film or close to finished film for the ratings board. So yeah, maybe they really did just delay it, which makes sense. It was always kind of weird that they had a staggered release, that they were going to release it in the US first and then like Japan later and the rest of the world later.
Is that a localization thing?
Yeah, maybe it was. I don't know why they did that, but so maybe they did just decide to align it worldwide, which I feel like makes a lot more sense.
Yep, makes sense. Mark, that movie is still barreling towards us. I kind of can't believe that living in this liminal space between trailer and movie is it's a little surreal. All right, Mark, let's get out of the news. All right, that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, please rate, review, follow us, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. If you like this episode, you should share it on Facebook or Twitter. Just don't share it in a misinformation kind of way. Make sure you give people all the context that they might want. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell, and the show is at Nincart Society. There's also a Facebook page, which is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. Anthony DeLuca made our logo, and our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Eller saying thank you for listening.